And welcome. Tonight, the National Security Advisor, Noor Rubadu, confirms the capture of leaders of the Ansaru terrorist group allegedly responsible for several attacks and high-profile kidnappings across Nigeria. And Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, orders a review of Amnesty International's latest report accusing police and other security agencies of extrajudicial killings in the southeast. And voters across 13 states and 16 federal constituencies turn out to choose their representatives at the National and State House of Assemblies as INEC conducts by-elections. And the death toll from heavy monsoon floods and landslides in Pakistan and Pakistan-administered Kashmir continues to rise, with at least 307 people confirmed dead.
And on business, Nigeria's forex reserves climbed to $40.7 billion as Naira holds near stable.
And on sports news tonight, Mikel Arteta challenges Arsenal for a new title bid to end over 2 decades of Premier League title drought.
I'll begin with security matters now. The National Security Advisor, Mr. Noor Rubadu, has confirmed the arrest of key leaders of the Ansaru terrorist group, which operated from a base in Niger State and was behind several terror attacks and high-profile kidnappings across Nigeria. The 2 leaders, Abu Bara, identified as the Emir, and his deputy, Mahmoud Dad, are currently being interrogated by security agencies to determine the extent of their ties to Islamic State affiliates in Mali and Yemen. Mr. Rubadu also disclosed that vital digital devices were seized during the operation and are now undergoing forensic analysis. Our correspondent, Dele Omoyeni, reports.
The National Security Advisor, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Army Staff, the Inspector General of Police, and the Minister of Information and National Orientation are here at the Office of the National Security Advisor for a special media briefing. The NSA gives an update on a successful counterterrorism operation.
I'm glad to inform you that we have successfully concluded a high-risk, intelligence-led counterterrorism operation, which led to the capture of the top leadership of Jama'atul Ansarul Muslimina fi Biladis, Sudan, commonly known as Ansaru, Nigeria's Al-Qaeda affiliate. The group was first formed in January 2012 with a public declaration in Kano. It emerged as a splinter faction from Boko Haram, positioning itself as a humane alternative. However, its stated aim quickly turned into attacking Nigeria's security agencies and operatives, civilian communities, and government infrastructure. The group publicly displayed the setting sun logo of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, signaling its ideological and operational alignment with global jihadist movements.
He also expressed the determination of the federal government to continue to fight against terrorism.
The targeted operation, which was conducted between May and July 2025, led to the capture of 2 top Ansaru leaders who have been responsible for masterminding several terrorist attacks against Nigeria over the past years. The first is Muhammad Usman, otherwise known as Abu Bara Abbas Mukhtar. The self-styled Emir of Ansaru, he is the coordinator of various terrorist sleeper cells across Nigeria. He is also the mastermind of several high-profile kidnappings and armed robberies used to finance terrorism over the years. The second is Mahmoud al-Nigeri, otherwise known as Malam Mahmouda, Abu Bara's proclaimed chief of staff and deputy.
The Minister of Information says the fight against terrorism is a collective one.
What you hear outside is that members of security agencies are not united. Today, I have seen, you have seen, all of us have seen how all of them come together to ensure that Nigeria is indeed a peaceful place for all of us.
Nigerians will hope that this development would drastically reduce the issues of insecurity in the country. Daily Omoyeni, Channels Television News.
And the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has ordered a comprehensive institutional review of Amnesty International's latest report accusing the Nigeria Police Force and other security agencies of extrajudicial killings and human rights violations in the Southeast. In a statement signed by the Force Public Relations Officer, DCP Olumiyiwa Adejobi, the IGP directs relevant police departments and affected field formations to conduct a meticulous line-by-line assessment of the report. According to the statement, the review will involve cross-checking the allegations with operational records, intelligence reports, and situation updates from tactical units across the Southeast. It adds that previous Amnesty International publications had at times contained factual inaccuracies and sweeping generalizations. The 128-page document, titled "A Decade of Impunity, Attacks and Unlawful Killings in Southeast Nigeria," alleges systemic rights abuses by security operatives in the region. And for matters of security, we now turn to the political stage, where voters turn out en masse to choose their representatives at the national and state houses of assemblies, as Independent National Electoral Commission conducted the by-elections across 13 states and 16 constituencies in the country. Our correspondents in Adamawa, Taraba, Kaduna, and Zamfara State report massive turnout of voters and early distribution of materials in some areas.
Officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, arrived quite early as the process commenced with early distribution of voting materials amidst tight security in Kaduna State. There is also a remarkable turnout of voters who are here to cast their votes for a candidate of their choice for the Chikun Kajuru Federal Constituency in Kaduna State. At these polling units in Kajuru and Chikun local government areas, accreditation and voting by INEC officials commenced simultaneously as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. Some of the voters commend INEC for the early preparation, describing the process as orderly.
Well, so far so good. This polling unit, you can see the turnout is very, really massive. It's large. And I think some other polling units I have visited, the process is actually ongoing and the turnout is actually good.
For the places I've visited around one Sunday here, it's been peaceful, and people have been exercising their right to vote.
In a similar vein, Taraba and Zamfara states recorded massive turnout of voters. However, accreditation process is slowed down in some areas owing to glitches experienced with the BVAS machine.
We're supposed to start our election by 8:30, but we are here as early as 7 o'clock, waiting for the people to come and cast their vote.
The process started with some hiccups, but thank God that the problem has been identified, and the problem is with the VIVAS. People, jam-packed and they were choked up in the room, so there was no enough light for the VIVAS to pick up and identify a voter.
At this polling unit, some of the voters expressed concern over the challenges and how it might affect the outcome.
We were here to vote, but part of the challenges we are facing here is that we didn't find this voting process easy. Reason is because Viva takes time before it picks an individual.
There were also some disruptions caused by political thugs at Kasuwa Daji Primary School in Zamfara State, leading to the cancellation of the process in 2 of the 3 polling units in the area. Meanwhile, in Kano and Jigawa states, there was massive deployment of security. While the exercise was peaceful in Jigawa State, security operatives arrested political thugs in Kano State.
From yesterday to today, we have arrested 288 people, suspects, carrying dangerous weapons. And even we have armed recovered from them. So we arrest them because they have committed an offense. So against the law, against the Electoral Act.
Meanwhile, the process is very peaceful and seamless in Adamawa State as voters turn out in their numbers in Ganye to exercise their franchise. Voting commenced at about 8:30 in the morning with a handful of security personnel to maintain law and order. Some members of the leading political parties participating in the exercise expressed satisfaction with the conduct so far.
Turnout is very impressive. People have come out. Everybody wants to exercise his franchise.
No, there's voter apathy, definitely. I think there's something fundamental with our people in terms of coming out to vote. If you look at the 2023 elections, less than 50% of the total voters voted.
INEC is conducting these by-elections across 16 constituencies in 13 states of the Federation to fill vacancies in the national legislature and state houses of assembly in the affected states.
Meanwhile, in the south, residents also trooped out to exercise their franchise and vote their preferred candidates. Our correspondent who monitored the exercise in Ogun, Anambra and Edo states filed this report.
In the southwest region, Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun cast his vote in Osonyi Ward 3, Unit 002 in Ikperu for the election of his choice candidate into Remo Federal Constituency. He commends the turnout of voters.
Everybody seems to be going about voting orderly, peacefully. There are issues here and there where they say maybe because of the weather, the BVAS machine takes a bit of time in capturing facial recognition images and registering it. But I believe between thumbprinting and facial recognition, somehow they are managing along.
Early hours of today, being 16th of August, 2025.
2 members of a political party in Ogun State and 2 INEC officials have been allegedly arrested in Ikperu for being in possession of huge sums of cash allegedly meant for vote buying into the Remo Federal Constituency. The suspects were said to have been arrested in the early hours of Saturday and are reported to have provided very useful information to the police regarding their respective roles in the grand plan to bribe election officials and rig the by-election. In the southeast, accreditation and voting commenced at polling unit 001 Amoji Primary School, Isofia, with 1,060 registered voters for the Anambra South senatorial by-election. The atmosphere here is calm and the process is going on smoothly. The turnout at polling unit 002 of Fuyi Square is impressive as residents carry out their business activities unhindered by the election. Governor Chukwuma Soludo did not also miss the opportunity to cast his vote, commending the process and also reacting to the alleged manhandling of the State Commissioner for Environment, Mr. Felix Odimegu, allegedly by thugs.
When you say that you are on a losing streak, you only unleash nothing but violence to disrupt the process. And when I got the report, my commissioner for environment was in pains and crying. That's the kind of thing, when I say shocking, but not unexpected, because we know that that's the usual way.
How are you? Everyone here?
Governor of Edo State, Monday Ukwevolo, cast his vote in the Edo Central Senatorial by-election in Ward 2, Unit 1, Udomi Primary School in Udomi, Uwesa, Eastern Central Local Government Area. The governor expresses displeasure over the delay in the accreditation process.
You can see the frustration. The beavers just too slow. It takes a lot of time before you can log in. It's a big problem. So I think INEC need to look into this.
13 states, including Oyo, Ogun, Edo, Kaduna, Kogi, and 8 others involved in the by-election, are hopeful that all candidates who emerge victorious will serve the interest of the people.
And in part 2, after the break, the federal government reaffirms commitment to inclusive national development. It shows that no region will be left out in the nation's drive to prosperity. Join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our top stories. The National Security Advisor, Mr. Noor Rabadu, confirms the capture of leaders of the Ansaru terrorist group allegedly responsible for several attacks and high-profile kidnappings across Nigeria. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Betokun, orders a review of Amnesty International's latest report accusing the police and other security agencies of extrajudicial killings in the southeast. And voters across 13 states and 16 federal constituencies turn out to choose their representatives at the National and State Houses of Assembly as the INEC conducts by-elections. The death toll from heavy monsoon floods and landslides in Pakistan. Pakistan-administered Kashmir continues to rise, with at least 307 people confirmed dead. The leader of the All Progressives Congress in Enugu State and Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Uche Naji, has assured the people of Nsukka of more developmental projects and political appointments if they buy into the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. The minister was speaking during a rally to welcome defectors from different political parties in the state. According to the minister, the All Progressives Congress in Enugu is working tirelessly to ensure the party's victory in the state for both national, regional and state offices in the next election cycle through good governance and service delivery.
It's another rally to welcome defectors from different political parties into the APC in Enugu State.
I, Ugochukwu H. Abala, State Chairman, receive you into the party and give to each of you a symbolic, the symbol of our party and the instrument of membership, which is our broom.
The state party chairman, Ugo Agbala, hands over the party symbol to the defectors as he highlights the impact of the renewed hope agenda on Nsukka and Enugu State in general.
The first time in history, an Nsukka man is becoming the Vice Chancellor of University of Nigeria, Nsukka. No other government ever did. Tinubu gave an instruction that on that seat must sit an Nsukka man. The same Tinubu government today is building 2 major express roads into Nsukka.
Next, the Minister of Information, Science and Technology, Uche Naji, assures the defectors that joining the party is a decision they will not regret.
We will work for our president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR. We will continue working for him. And Enugu is APC, and APC is what? So we will keep working for the president, and at the right time, APC in 2027 will take over the Lion Building.
Other stakeholders share their thoughts on the party visibility and strength in Enugu State.
APC is now the household name in Enugu State. The people of Enugu have all embraced APC. And you can see the level of panic it has sent to the spines of the opposition. So APC is in Enugu to stay, to take over the reign of governance in Enugu State. That is sure. I also believe that the
it is no longer a time where you call APC any name. This is APC, it's the government of the center, and we're also going to be with him. We've moved from our various parties to make sure that APC stays strong and very, very formidable. Today, APC is very formidable in this state, and everybody knows that that is where the wind is blowing.
The APC also condemned the alleged attack on their rally venue by the opposition, describing it as uncalled for.
And to other matters now, the federal government has reiterated its commitment to inclusive national development with assurances that no region will be left out in a drive to national prosperity. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, made the remark during a visit to Governor Peter Mba of Enugu State. He says the region is strategically important to President Tinubu and urged the people to continue to support the policies of the federal government.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, is leading a high-powered government delegation to Enugu State to kick off a tour of federal projects in the southeast and a two-day citizen engagement series. First, the team pay a courtesy call on the state government and are received by Governor Peter Mba.
What we have come here, Your Excellency, is to tell you that Mr. President has not just Enugu State, but the entire southeastern Nigeria in his heart.
We see a lot of similarity in what we're doing here, and we would continue to support the president to succeed.
After the visit, the team proceed to inspect some federal projects in the state. The ongoing construction of the Enugu-Port Harcourt Expressway, the newly established Oncology Center at the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital, and the 700 meters Eke Obinagu Bridge linking Enugu to Ebonyi State.
For now, it is a nightmare for traffic here for commuters to pass through this place. But now the construction of this bridge, they are hopeful. It's about 70 to 75% completed here from what we can see and what we have been told. And we know that by the time it is completed, it will solve all the problems of traffic in this community. This is linking Enugu, Ebonyi, and then straight to Cross River and Akwa State from here.
From Enugu State, the team proceeds to Ebonyi State, where they are also received by Governor Francis Wifuru and continue inspection of more projects. They visit the Enugu-Abakaliki-Ogoja Road, where the project manager explains the extent of work done.
We are done with some layers from filling with the boulders and sharp sand. Then we have moved to the paving with the stone base, which falls within the aggregate envelope. Now we are waiting for the moisture content to be at optimum moisture content. Then when we run our institute test, we'll start with our rigid pavement.
The residents here applaud the project.
We are happy with the work that you have done.
So what do you have to say to the president?
Thank you.
We are grateful. Thank you very much.
Next is the construction site of the Afikpo Road project and the Section 1 of the Trans-Saharan Highway.
I'm particularly very excited because we believe that the progress will be able to do the job and be competent and excellent to deliver. I believe so. Waiting that the world is going to happen.
As you can see, we are moving. Unfortunately, as the director has mentioned, we have some challenges with the rain, what is normal because the issue of rain here is not, we are not making it as an excuse, like you said, Your Excellency. The reason is that to divert the traffic is an issue, and if you cannot divert traffic, it will be obviously difficult for you to be able to walk when there's rain.
Done with inspections, the Minister of Information then hosts stakeholders in Ebonyi State to a citizens' engagement dialogue. The stakeholders laud the initiative, but make some demands of the government.
We only have one NPA in Abakaliki. From the act, we're supposed to have 3. You're a minister. We urge you, with the support of our governor, to establish more so that what our governor is doing will be now be disseminated in the whole Ebonyi state.
In response, the minister says the government will continue to ensure that its policies reflect the realities of the people.
Today, from Enugu to Abakaliki, everywhere you follow, all the roads, all the bridges, all the flyovers are being done either by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or what your governors are doing. Now, what this tells me is that because the president says he wants to collaborate with these governors, you are having peace and you are having money at the disposal of the state governments to continue to deliver dividends of democracy to all of you.
The Ministry of Information and National Orientation considers this initiative, which will be replicated across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, essential for restoring trust in public communication and strengthening the social contract between the government and the citizens. Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
And still on development, the civil society groups have identified poor leadership and policy inconsistency as major setbacks preventing economic development in Nigeria, as they blame successive governments for their inability to harness Nigeria's abundant resources for economic growth. Speaking at the biannual lecture of the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development in Abuja, both the regional director for Ford Foundation and executive director of the center say Nigeria is in dire need of transformational leaders to drive the system.
Members of civil society groups, participants of Class 22 of the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development are attending this leadership lecture by the center in Abuja with the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning as the guest of honor. The lecture is intended to generate conversations around the role of leadership in the country's economic growth. Some of the lead discussants here blame Nigeria's economic travails on poor leadership.
Nigeria and Africa stand at a crossroad as a result of leadership failure. We have abundant human and natural resources, yet poverty, unemployment, and inequality persist.
I believe deeply that inequality is not an accident. It is a choice. The challenges our country faces are not as a result of the absence of resources, policies, or potentials, as we have heard over and over again, but as a result of the absence of transformational leaders.
You're welcome, sir.
For the keynote speaker, qualities such as courage, transparency, and the ability to translate potentials to results are critical for leaders in Nigeria to drive the economy to prosperity.
For our country, Nigeria, the challenge is not potential. We have abundant potential. When you look at the population of our nation as a people, 60% are under 25. So there's so much abundant potential in Nigeria. The real challenge is execution and accountability. And I think that is the big elephant in the room. Execution and accountability.
However, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning highlights some key decisions of government to develop the economy.
Removal of petroleum subsidy, like you said, foreign exchange reform, this guy. Not only are they difficult, but he convinced himself sincerely and all of us in his team that this is what we needed to do. The choices that have been made in the last 2.5 years have been paying results. For example, the revenue going to subnationals have literally tripled.
Apart from grooming young leaders, the African Center for Leadership, Strategy and Development has continued to organize lectures such as this to advocate for transformational leadership in Nigeria.
And still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's forex reserves climbs to $40.7 billion as the naira holds near stable. That's in business news. Join us again. Welcome back. Well, the Imo State Governor, Mr. Hope Uzodinma, has tasked the Nigerian Guild Editors and the Nigerian Union of Journalists to rise to the challenge of curbing the excesses of social media, especially in dissemination of unverified news. Governor Uzodinma disclosed this in Owerri, the Imo State capital, where he received the members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. He also inspected some ongoing projects within the state. Our correspondent, Eitokwe Kitei, reports.
Members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, led by its president, Mr. Eze Anaba, at the Government House in Owerri, the Imo State capital, on a courtesy visit to Governor Hope Uzodinma as part of activities for their next meeting.
The first meeting will be having outside Enugu since the inauguration of the Guild Test. So they didn't fit visit you again to say, okay, we are here, the UNESCO is instituted. So we're here to see some of the projects you have done.
Governor Uzodinma reminds them about their role as gatekeepers of public information and expresses concern over the unchecked influence of social media, describing it as a double-edged sword that often prioritizes speed over accuracy.
The role of the media becomes even more critical to the stability of our democracy. As I've said before, we will rely on you to show us the path to follow. And what I mean we, I speak on behalf of the political class. Because as gatekeepers of public information, what you choose to publish is what will shape how Nigerians will interpret and respond to unfolding events. So when we are getting it right, we are happy to give the credit to you.
Shortly after the meeting, Governor Uzodinma inspects key ongoing projects in the state capital, like the Emmanuel Iwayawu International Convention Center, the Assumpta Flyover, and the comprehensive renovation works at the iconic Concord Hotel.
The International Conference Center is world class. You also saw for yourself the quality of construction demonstrated at the flyover at Assumpta roundabout. So, and what is more, that the job is being completed within record time is also very encouraging. We will do more. We need to recover and address all the infrastructural gaps that exist in Imo State so that we can have a very robust economy.
With the pace of ongoing projects across Owerri, the governor says his administration is determined to leave behind lasting legacies that will not only transform the capital city, but also reposition Imo State as a hub for tourism, commerce, and sustainable development. Eitokwe Kitei, Channels Television News.
Let's pivot to energy now. The Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, as the NUPRC says they've embraced the petroleum industry law mandates to focus on upstream resource optimization. Speaking at the conference of petroleum explorationists in Lagos, the Commission's chief executive, Mr. Benga Komalafe, says it has issued 19 enabling regulations that are benchmarked against global standards, providing a stable and predictable framework that enhances investor confidence. Our energy correspondent, Olu Phillips, tells us more.
It's the story of explorationists, geologists, geoscientists, and of people who pioneered and still play today in an industry that powers Nigeria in the past 50 years and still counting. So after half a century of curiosity, exploration, discovery, these petroleum explorationists are sitting to essentially review the past, the history, current realities, the future, and of course plans to sustain the growth.
Going on to the current realities, where we are today. In the past near term, between 2024 and year-to-date 2025, there've been an uptick in terms of production powered by most people in this room. The players in this room have increased production 400,000 barrels. That's a lot of investments. That's a lot of work being done in a 6-month time frame.
I don't think I would ever have predicted in 15 years we would see what we have today, because it is a complete transformation. And the onshore and the shallow water offshore has changed immeasurably.
Opportunities breed responsibilities. So while Nigeria have cravings to create energy security, spur investments, what are the odds?
What I would say, though, is that future development is going to have to follow the economics. It's going to have to follow the returns. The domestic price for gas is not cost reflective at this point. So to invest for domestic is going to be a challenge, I think, for many people. But it certainly enables us to not flare any gas. So I think the future of the resources that we have, yes, is figuring out how you come out to get to external markets and worldwide, and that's through an LNG outflow. So there's many opportunities. We're still evaluating what those are, but again, the capital will flow where the highest return is and what the best opportunity is in that area.
And to the man that regulates the industry, he mentions a significant milestone that should answer the question of the actual number of molecules produced and exported.
In the weeks ahead, we will go live on the Advanced Cargo Declaration Initiative. So this initiative will enable us as an industry to be able transparently to monitor, that is the evacuation volume, digitally to the disport, that is discharge port, in a manner that at least we can mitigate leakages in that is crude oil evacuation.
Driving costs down per barrel strategy that have saved about $3 billion so far and getting more cost management ambitions, what are the projections for the industry?
We started from oil and gas as export commodities for revenue. We have had a split in responsibilities. So the multinationals ensure that there is export of oil and natural gas through LNG and oil, for revenues, while indigenous companies, these independents, are now championing the national domestic energy security campaign, so that in time we will have more than half of our oil production refined here. We will have over 3 BCF of gas distributed across Nigeria for industrial use. The energy security story for Nigeria and Africa can only be charted and championed by these independents. Those who didn't understand the future stood in the way of these divestments, but now we can see what is happening.
For future opportunities, how is the next 50 years going to look like in the horizon? The consensus is highlighted in the untapped deep water reserves, monetization of gas by shifting from production, ramp up infrastructure, creative funding types, collaboration, and building a sustainable industry. Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
So looking at environmental matters, in Agboye, a riverine community in Lagos, residents live with constant threat of severe flooding, especially with the rains now in season. To strengthen preparedness, the Nigerian Red Cross Society, in collaboration with other emergency service agencies, has staged a flood simulation exercise showing how communities can respond before, during, and after disaster strikes.
This is Agboyi, a riverine community in Agboyi Ketu Local Council Development Area of Lagos. It's also a community that faces recurring severe flooding, which is why the Nigerian Red Cross Society, in collaboration with the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and other key emergency management partners, are here to conduct a flood simulation exercise. The exercise aims at strengthening community preparedness and response capacity in high-risk areas, and it shows firsthand how members of the community can respond during a disaster. From the rescue of simulated victims to first aid and recovery efforts, the stakeholders simulate response actions as if it were a real-life emergency. The goal is to equip community members and volunteers with the skills to act quickly and effectively.
The little simulations we have had, with the trainings, with the rescue training, search and rescue, the resilience of the people, and the recovery method that we all witness. It will go a long way in helping us salvaging lives. Because when there is flood, properties are important, but life cannot be equated with money or property. So we are here to see how we can save lives.
Agboyi faces specific risks that make it a priority for flood preparedness, raising the question of how ready response teams are if a real flood happens here.
We have done an intervention, series of intervention in this particular community, but not just in this community alone, in other communities in the state. So that is why we have given priority to, because they have experienced severe flooding in this community. That's the reason why priority has been given to this place. You have the NEMA, you have LASEMA, you have the Nigerian Red Cross, and you have other major stakeholders present here today. The objective is just to build an efficient and effective response system, not just to flood, because we respond to other emergencies also. We all work together to see how ready we are and to discover our shortcomings and improve on those shortcomings.
The simulation, funded under the Italian government-backed Flood Resilience Project, is designed to strengthen emergency preparedness in high-risk communities across 12 Nigerian states.
And to infrastructure spending, President Bola Tinubu has approved 16.7 billion naira for the immediate reconstruction of the Mokwa Bridge in Niger State, which was destroyed by flooding in May this year. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, announced this in Abakaliki after a meeting with the Minister of Works, Mr. David Umahi. Mr. Idris is leading a federal government delegation on a 3-day tour of projects and citizen engagement in the southeast. Said the approval underscores the administration's responsiveness to urgent infrastructure needs. The minister also commended Senator Umahi for his swift response in the wake of the disaster, including dispatching experts to assess the damage shortly after the bridge was destroyed. In his remarks, the Minister of Works, Senator Umahi, said President Tinubu is committed to solving the challenges confronting the Nigerians as the latest round of approvals for provision of infrastructure cuts across all the geopolitical zones of the country. All right, let's get a check in the world business now. Willie Bong has the details.
Thank you, Ladi. The Nigeria's foreign reserves climbed for the 6th week in a row, rising by $431 million to $40.72 billion as of August the 13th. The steady build-up signals stronger foreign inflows. Now, despite this, the Naira slipped by 0.1% to 1,536 Naira 53 kobo per dollar, even as the central bank sold about $166 million to boost liquidity in the market. Looking ahead, analysts expect stability in the currency, backed by inflows from foreign investors, stronger non-oil exports, and limited room for speculation. Now over to agriculture. The president of the Maize Association of Nigeria, Mr. Bello Abubakar, is appealing to the federal government to address issues of insecurity, flooding, poor financing, and inadequate insurance cover to increase yield in the sector. Speaking at a news conference in Abuja, Mr. Abubakar listed efforts by members of the association to help the government recover the anchor borrowers' funds given to their members while appealing for a waiver of the loan facility.
Man understand that anchor borrower program from the CBN is a revolving loan due for full recovery depending on the participants, that is farmers, for compliance. However, the unfortunate, there was a momentary disappointment as perhaps the mindset of most of the participants, farmers, was that they received a national cake. Due to aberration attitude of the participants or farmers towards repayment of the loan, man was constrained to write several demand letters to the defaulters, as well as seek synergy with the law enforcement and anti-graft agencies like EFCC, DSS, police, for assistance in line with the federal government policies for loan recovery. It is most unfortunate that some of the participants, all the pollsters, in an effort to abate responsibility to both man and the agencies in support of our law recovery, took us to various courts for enforcement of their purported human rights, which they claimed was violated by either the Nigerian police or EFCC, by inviting them for explanations based on our petitions. On our part, we took some of the defaulters to court for the recovery of the loan amount outstanding against them, and most of those cases are still pending in courts.
Now, outside Nigeria, U.S. President Donald Trump's new tariffs on Chinese goods are forcing retailers like Shein and Temu to seek new markets. With the U.S. becoming less attractive, analysts say Europe could face a surge of low-cost imports. While cheaper goods may appeal to consumers, concerns remain over labor practices, product quality, and environmental impact. Regulators in Brussels may have to step in, balancing market access with sustainability and consumer protection. Now back home, trading on the Nigerian exchange closed the week lower as the oil share index fell 0.77% to 1,444 points, and market cap dropped to 91.5 trillion naira. Investors traded 8.56 billion shares worth 99.94 billion naira in 134,577 deals, weaker than the prior week. Sector performance was mostly bearish. We saw banking, consumer goods, industrial goods, and oil and gas closed the week in the red, while insurance, the outlier, rose 8.21%. Now, top gainers were Mutual Benefits, Triple G, and Sunu Assurances. Losers included UPDC, Living Trust, and Beggar Paints. Universal Insurance, Linkage Assurance, and ICO were the most traded stocks for the week. Now we moved over to the over-the-counter exchange, where the index closed mixed as the security index fell 1.84% to 3,587 points, while market cap inched up 0.29% to 2.15 trillion naira. But market activity we saw surged. Trading volume jumped 160.65% to 70.84 billion units, and value rose 580.65% to 1.1 billion naira, though deals slipped 2.75% to 177. Now, IGI topped gainers, followed by Double One PLC and Aecon Petroleum. On the losers chart, Joe Fluids shed 1% to 4 naira 95 kobo. Friesland Campina Wamco fell 1.44% to 68 naira 61 kobo, and Okitipupa Oil Palm dipped 1.66% to 233 naira 30 kobo. The most traded stocks were Okitipupa Oil Palm, Friesland Campina Wamco, and CSCS. And that's business news. It's now over to Olumide Macaulay for highlights from the world of sports.
Welcome to Sports News. We start with football. Rodrigo Muniz scored in the dying seconds of the stoppage time to rescue a point for Fulham against Brighton in their Premier League opener. Elsewhere, Newcastle failed to score with one-away striker Alexander Isak as they were held by a 10-man Aston Villa. Sunderland made a winning start to their first Premier League campaign since 2016-17 as they deservedly beat West Ham 3-0 at the Stadium of Light. 2 goals from Richarlison helped Thomas Frank win his first league match in charge of Tottenham as his Spurs side beat newly promoted Burnley 3-0. In the last game of the day, Erling Haaland scored twice as Manchester City cruised to a 4-0 victory over Wolves. Meanwhile, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has challenged his players to keep digging for gold as they prepare to start their latest bid for a first Premier League title since 2004 against revamped Manchester United at Old Trafford on Sunday. Boosted by a host of new signings worth over $244 million in total, Arteta is convinced they can finally get their hands on the Premier League title this season. In an attempt to insulate the Gunners against another fitness-related collapse, he has brought in players like Christian Norgard and Martin Zubimendi. The 43-year-old Spaniard said too many teams have a legitimate shot to win the Premier League for his liking.
We started an incredible stadium with so much history and a beautiful way to start the season. And we will go game by game and make the best preparations and then perform to earn the right to win the game. Now the margins, we know how small they are. We know that the competition as well has increased the level with recruitment, with another year together, and we're going to have to do the same. There are teams probably that maybe you don't put them on a piece of paper right now, but suddenly they will surprise everybody. I mean, the squads, the quality of the managers, the structure they have within the clubs, they are so strong that it's going to be very difficult.
Meanwhile, Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim says new signing Benjamin Sesko is ready to play in their Premier League curtain raiser against Arsenal tomorrow. Manchester United will begin their bid to improve on their last campaign with a lowly finish of 15th place when they host last season's Premier League runners-up Arsenal on Sunday. The Old Trafford faithful may be given a first glimpse of summer recruit Sesko alongside Premier League debuts for Brian Mbeumo. The pressure is on Amorim, who replaced the sacked Erik ten Hag in November last year, to deliver major improvements in his second season. Sports news, it's back to Ladi for the rest of the news at 10.
Thanks, Olumide. Well, to international news now. Over 300 people have been confirmed dead, with scores of people missing across parts of Pakistan and India-administered Kashmir and Nepal. This is after 2 days of floods triggered by severe rains. Most of the deaths were recorded by disaster authorities in the mountainous Khyber and province in northwest Pakistan. Buna district, a 3.5-hour drive north from Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, was among the country's worst hit, with 184 killed and widespread damage to infrastructure, crops and orchards. And that's it on the news at 10. The main news again. The National Security Advisor, Mr. Nuhu Rubadu, today confirmed the capture of leaders of the Ansaru terrorist group allegedly responsible for several attacks and high-profile kidnappings across Nigeria. Also today, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, ordered a comprehensive review of Amnesty International's latest report, accusing the police and other security agencies of extrajudicial killings in the southeast. Thank you so much for watching the news at 10. I'm Ladi Williams. Good night.